Hey, welcome back to Connie's Corner. Today I'm going to talk about a couple of things actually, one of which is going to be how difficult is it to find the perfect date. I'm also going to talk about sort of dating disasters. Well, I kind of devised this game the other day where I thought actually I'm going to call it Chat Up Line Roulette. So I'm just going to randomly throw in some of the chat up lines that I have received since I've started my online dating quest. If you've got a worse chat up line than this, okay, then by all means share it with me. But this is truly one of the chat up lines I had. First line, you say hello, they say, what would you do if I made you pregnant? I said, deck you, and that was the end of that conversation. I just want to sort of come in quickly with sort of dating disasters. I've had a few. It's not all since I've been an older, more mature woman. When I was about 19, I went on this date with not so dishy Dave, and I remember we sat in one of my favourite wine bars, and I don't even know what possessed me to go on the date with this guy in the first place, but he sat there chomping away on this chewing gum, and he looked at me and he said, some people say I've got come to bed eyes. And as he said that, chewing gum comes flying out of his mouth and lands in my lap. He then picked it up, put it back in his mouth again, and carried on talking. And needless to say, I never saw him again. On the theme of dating disasters, though, I do have to talk about some really positive dating experiences that I've had. I had one week, it was the Easter holidays, and I had a week where I had 5 dates. So I had these 5 dates lined up, and it was a case of, right, okay, there's got to be at least one out of the 5 that I will end up dating. Date number 4, I think he was. I didn't really like his profile pic, but we had a bit of the banter had been good between us. And I arranged to meet him, and I sort of drove up there very nervous. I got there before he did, ordered myself a glass of Prosecco, told the bar staff that I was on a date. I'm sorry, but I was catfished in the best possible way. His photos did not do him any kind of justice whatsoever. And I had in front of me the man of my dreams. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. And, our eyes met, and it was just electric. It was absolutely amazing. And he sent me a message while I was at the bar saying, I think you're really hot, which I thought was really cute. We had a wonderful time, just sort of sat drinking. I think I was on coffee by this stage because I was driving. And I remember we went outside to get some air, and it was lovely. I kind of looked at him. He was way taller than I was. Looked at him, he looked at me, he sort of put his arms around me, scooped me in and kissed me, and it was probably the best kiss I have ever had in my whole entire life. It was perfect. Everything was perfect. In the end, I kind of we said goodnight. He walked me to my car, we kissed again, and then he went off. He messaged me before I'd even got home. He'd love to see me again, and I really thought it was a great day, and I would love to have seen him again. We haven't seen each other again, I might add. But that's only purely because his messages to me were things like, well, why don't you come over? We'll watch a movie and share a bottle of wine together. So I just kind of said, well, I'll do that, provided you promise nothing's going to happen. And he said, well, I can't promise that, so I never went. Yeah, I may have missed out, but I think I'd rather have missed out than fallen for this guy and ended up completely brokenhearted. Anyway, okay, coming in with chat up line number 2. How big are your boobs? That was that was a first comment from a guy to me. I was really incensed by it, and I kind of sort of turned around and sort of messaged back, how dare you? You can't ask a woman the size of her boobs. It's like me asking you how big your dick is. To which I ended up with a dick pic. I think if you're on there to seriously date, I don't think that asking those sorts of questions is appropriate. I can't speak for all women, okay, but certainly for the women who are like me, we crave romance and we crave love and sensuality. I'm going to tell you as well, actually, about another kind of disastrous date I had, and I'm going to call this guy Gavin. We had a few dates before, but he was nice enough. Okay, nice enough on the first date. Couldn't argue about that at all. But you kind of know that it's not really for you. Certainly by some of the things they say. God, being asked if a turtle is shellfish. Oh God, give me strength. The same guy. I had tried last year at the sort of very last minute to book a holiday. And obviously, being a singleton, it's like, oh, who should I go with? Well, my kids were all busy. My best mates and that had their own holidays booked. And I literally booked this holiday sort of within a week of going. So Gavin said, I'll come with you. So I met up with Gavin. He then paid me his half of the money. And I had said before we'd even booked it, I'd said to him, we're going to go, but we're going as friends, and I'm going to book 2 single rooms, and it's just going to be really, really great, okay, but we're not together. And it was like, yeah, I know that. Anyway, we get to the airport. We ended up going into Wagamama's. He ordered what I'd ordered, and then afterwards moaned because it was a rice dish and he'd wanted noodles. And I kind of said, well, why didn't you order your own thing then as opposed to what I was ordering? Anyway, literally as the food arrives, okay, I checked my phone and realised we'd missed the final call for boarding. So it was like, oh my God, we got to go. So I called the waitress over. She gave us some takeaway pots to put our food in. He was insisting on sitting there and eating his lunch because, like the plane would wait for him. I ended up dragging him off that stool and saying, we are going. We arrived in Cyprus. My fault, I booked the wrong airport, okay? But I then ended up paying over €100 to get a taxi to get us from Larnaca down to Paphos. Probably about like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning now. There was this lovely little Cypriot man behind the counter, and he did all the check-in bits and that, took our passports, gave me my room key and my Wi-Fi code, gave Gavin his room key and went to give Gavin his Wi-Fi code, and he went, no, it'd be the same, won't it? And the little man behind the desk and I kind of went, no, you'll have a separate Wi-Fi code. And he said, well, why? We're in the same room, aren't we? Gavin, no, I did say I was booking 2 separate rooms. We are going on holiday as friends. Oh my God, he huffed and puffed and made such a big deal out of it because he thought 2 separate rooms meant we were going to have one apartment with 2 rooms in it. Anyway, so we get shown up to our rooms. Here's my room. His one is the room next door. He's got the because again, he's not going to let it drop, okay, the fact that he thought we were going to stay in an apartment. He's then said to me, well, you're not going to leave me out here, are you? I'm sort of trying to get into my room, and he's like that. And I said, yeah, because your room is next door. So he got in there and then managed to lock himself out into the balcony and called me. Well, actually, he hollered and I heard him. So I opened my balcony and went out and realised that he'd locked himself out on it. So I then had to go and call a concierge to go let him in. Woke up the next morning just thinking, wow, I'm here. It was absolutely beautiful. And then there was Gavin. I got showered, I got dressed, I messaged him to say I was going out to breakfast. And I had to endure, there's me kind of like getting over my tiredness from the long day of travelling, trying to sip my coffee and I think I had bacon and baked beans or something. But by this stage, he'd done the whole full English, okay? He'd done the cereals and he was now on crepes. And he kept telling me how much he loves crepes. Now he's saying this with a mouthful of crepes with bits coming out left, right, and so I'm being bloody pebble dashed by this idiot that sat in front of me telling me about the bloody crepes that he really loves. So anyway, later on that morning, he said, oh, I'll meet you by the side of the pool, I'll reserve you a sun lounge. Like, yeah, okay, cool, great. So there I am, sort of gone down to the pool, Kindle in one hand, phone in the other hand, handbag. And towel as well, so I put my towel down on the sunbed. I sort of got in there. The next minute, he's pulling my sunbed closer to his. And I'm saying, what are you doing here? And he said, oh, I just want to feel your closeness. And that was like, okay. And the next minute, he's then got his foot, wiping this foot up and down my leg. And again, I'm like, what are you doing? And he says, oh, your skin is so soft. I was getting like a full abrasion here with like, the calluses on his foot. And that was the one and only time I sat around the pool with him. So I then spent a lot of that holiday at the bar. There was one night, I think it was the last night, we went for a meal because we'd had so many explosive arguments, me and Gavin, because he would not accept that we weren't a couple. I'd had to have that conversation with him again whilst I was there, which I hadn't wanted to have to do, but you know, you're sitting there with somebody who keeps stroking you every second and telling you how soft your skin is. He didn't take pictures of me sleeping while I was in the car because I've fallen asleep one afternoon. I was so tired. And I just thought, you just cannot get any creepier. So you can imagine we're sat in this really, really ultra posh restaurant, okay, having bickering between us with some idiot with this fork coming across the table at my food. And he ended up just slamming his fork down on the table, okay, and getting up and going. And I'm sitting there thinking, yay, he's gone. I didn't care because, you know, we'd driven to the restaurant, but I just thought, no, stuff it. I'll pay the bill. I don't care. I'll get a taxi back to the hotel. I don't care. Really didn't care about any of it. No, we'd only gone to the toilet though. So he came back and he sat down and we sort of carried on talking, but I know I had upset him by talking about expectations. I wasn't on holiday with Gavin as his partner, okay? We went as friends back to the hotel. So last night, okay, this is the last night of the holiday. We walked to our rooms. By this stage, he'd actually moved a room further down. He was about 5 rooms down the hall because he'd had the hump with me at one stage and then blamed the Wi-Fi and obviously wanted to be as far away from me as possible, but actually I don't care. But the last night anyway, we kind of like, you know, he walked me to my room and he said, oh, well, good night then. I went, yeah, okay, night then. Okay, see you in the morning. And then he was like, you're not really going to leave me out here, are you? I was like, yes. And I opened my door and he pushed his way in. And I would not move from that spot, but I was literally trying to force him out. He's trying to force me in and shut the door. I won, I will say, okay, but he really, really, really had the ump. So again, you know, even if you stipulate to somebody that you are a friend, just be very wary because friend obviously means something different to other people. Back to chat up line roulette. What dress size are you? Okay, again. All right, this is a question that's been posed to me, you know, so not just the once, probably 4 or 5 times. And I remember one guy, he was actually quite good looking and fairly local as well. And I said, oh, I'm a 14, yeah. And I think I went, oh, this was in July, I was chatting to him. This guy turned around and said to me, oh, okay then, contact me in August and I'll leave you with this one. And I literally copied, because I've screenshotted these messages on my phone. But this chap said to me, slightly cheeky, I know, but are you a dom? And my response to him was, that's it for now. So like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Remember to tune in next time.